It's a nice day. Okay. So, where are we? I haven't had the time to go back and look at who the dwarves were. Garrick, I forgot who that was. Garrick. I'll have to go back and check. So, crossing the 10th floor, Raceland came to a large wooden chest that sat upon the floor beside his bed. Carved with magical runes, the chest was the only one of Raceland's possessions, beside the staff of Magius. So the chest at the end of a bed had represented who you're connected to or whatever. Carved with magical runes. True. Magic, and then in my dream I was supposed to run. It's in the name runes because to catch the air that gives me on the chest. And that was when I discovered Winchester. And the chest was the only one of Raceland's possessions, besides the staff of Magius. That's my website. That the mage allowed no one but himself to touch. Not that any sought to try, not after the report of one of the guards, who had mistakenly attempted to lift it. Raceland had not said a word. He simply watched as the guard dropped it with a gasp. The chest was bitterly cold to the touch. The guard reported in a shaken voice to his friends around the fire that night. Not only that, but he was overcome by the feeling of horror, so great it was a wonder he didn't go mad. Bitterly cold to the touch. Because I haven't been touched, I've saved myself for a really long time. The guard reported in a shaken voice to his friends around the fire. Like other people wouldn't have done that. Not only that, but he was overcome by a feeling of horror so great it was a wonder he didn't go mad. Since that time, only Raceland himself moved it. Though, sorry, no one could say. It was always present in his tent. Since that time, only Raceland moved it. Though how, no one could say. It was always present in his tent. Yet no one could ever recall seeing it on any of the pack horses. Lifting the lid of the chest, Raceland calmly studied the contents. The night-bound blue spell books, the jars, the bottles and pouches of spell components, his own black-bound spell books, an assortment of scrolls, and several black robes folded at the bottom. There were no magical rings or pendants, such as might have been found in the possession of lesser mages. These Raceland scorned as being fit only for weaklings. His gaze passed quickly over all the items, including one slim, well-worn book that might have made the casual observer pause and stare. I feel like it's kind of reminding me of how magical I can make this and what I could actually do for someone, you know? Like how magical it's been so far and how important it is to make sure it's like the most memorable, magical, wonderful thing. Because I mean, it's only going to happen once, but it's supposed to, anyways. So night blue bound spell books. That makes sense. Jars and bottles and pouches of spell components. His own black bound spell books. That would be what was done before. An assortment of scrolls and several black robes folded at the bottom. Folding is quitting. Quit the black robes. These Raceland, blah blah blah. And then it's saying that I don't have a magical ring or pendant. True. Doing it with fabric. I was going to get different fabric from this. It's just really, I like to sleep with it. I like to snuggle with it. I can't sleep without it covering my eyes. His gaze passed quickly over all the items, including one slim, well-worn book that might have made the casual observer pause and stare, wondering that such a mundane item was kept with objects of arcane value. The title, written in flamboyant letters to attract the attention of the buyer, was Sleight of Hand Techniques Designed to Amaze and Delight. Below that was written, Astound Your Friends, Trick the Gullible. There might have been more, but the rest had been worn away long ago by a young, eager, loving hands. Passing over this book that even now brought a thin smile of remembrance to the mage's lips, Raceland reached down among his robes, uncovering a small box. In the box. In the box. It's too hot for me to wear anything else right now. This too was guarded by runes, carved upon its surface, muttering magical words to nullify their effects. The mage opened the box reverently. There was only one thing inside: an ornate silver stamp. Carefully, Raceland removed the stamp and, rising to his feet, carried it to the table he had placed in the center of the tent. I feel like right there, it was suggesting, it was warning me. I guess I can't really share what I felt like it was doing. It was like, for you to do that, it might be in the center, where other people could see it. And you're going to be really famous. So maybe you should wait till it's silver. Just kidding. But I mean, I was doing it for a silver woman. But I'm not going to never mind. Oh my god, I can't believe I just said that. Settling himself into a chair, and that's supposed to take away marriage or something. Let's do this. What happens? Okay. sit down on this bench. Right here. Okay. The mage put his hand into one of the secret pockets of his robes and pulled forth a small crystal object. Okay. I don't use drugs. I have cigarettes. Swirling with colors. I just barely shared something that was saying, I'll pass the drug test if anybody thinks that I'm on drugs. I'll just take one, pass it. I'm actually supposed to. Actually, I have to be testing my car right now. I'm supposed to. So I'm going to be doing it anyways. But yeah, I don't do it. I don't do anything. People will assume that because of the stuff I talk about. But it's not true. My God, these eyebrows are horrible still. It's going to take a couple days before they look okay. Swirling with colors, it resembled at first glance, nothing more sinister than a child's marble. I actually didn't do anything enough to own a pipe or anything. When I did actually smoke, the last time I actually owned a pipe has been like, wow, a really long time ago. A really long time ago. I had a girlfriend that had one, but that's actually real. I might look like somebody that would, but I don't. I haven't. Years ago, I didn't have one, and when I was dumb and did something, it wasn't like enough to get a pipe. Things. I was, even last time I drank like once a month or something, and even that seemed like it was too much for me. I feel kind of done. But, I could see myself doing it again now a little bit. If it's like from the place that makes it, seems like it might be like the samplers or whatever. Is to blah 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 blah. There's only one thing inside, blah 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 blah. It resembled at first nothing more sinister than a child's marble. You know, people might be assuming, actually right now, more than usual, because I'm getting the attention of Mormons, they might be assuming that I have drugs or did drugs or something. I'm just thinking, oh, he must be high, and then, you know, and they actually take the time to look into it a little while. It's actually real. But yet, looking at the object closely, one saw that the colors trapped within were alive. They could be constantly moving and shifting as though seeking escape. So this marble is his dragon orb, if I remember right. It can summon dragons. Raceland placed, he used it when he betrayed his party. They were all about to sink. And that made sense to me because it happened at the Blood Sea of Istar. And that made sense to me because that was how I betrayed my party and I got away from alcohol and did something dumb. That makes sense. Chasing the dragon or whatever. It's really dumb. But yeah, I did betray everybody by doing that. That was true. Yeah, looking at the blah 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 blah. Raceland placed the marble upon the stand. It looked ludicrous, perched there, much too small. And then suddenly, as always, It was perfectly right. The marble had grown. The stand had shrunk. Perhaps Raceland himself had shrunk, for now the mage felt himself to be one that appeared ludicrous. It was a common feeling, and he was accustomed to it. I feel like it's reminding me of how I'm kind of still on it. Knowing that the dragon orb, for such was the shimmering, swirling, colored crystal globe. Actually, not as much right now. Kind of sick, going through withdrawal, but I am down. I got off everything too fast. I injured myself and I couldn't walk. So I was put on pills from a doctor, and I'm on the last step of getting off of everything, which is Suboxone. Anyways, for such was the shimmering, swirling, colored crystal globe, sought always to put its user at a disadvantage. But long ago, no time to come, Raceland had mastered the dragon orb. He had learned to control the essence of dragonkind that inhabited it. Constantly trying to get them to stay away from it. It's pretty much where the half of me, half of my company kind of thing came from. Relaxing his body, Raceland closed his eyes and gave himself up to his magic. Yeah, I feel like it was kind of like reminding me of how reality is so much better than drugs and everything that I did before. I'm so surprised I ever did anything. Very surprised. Reaching out, he placed his fingers upon the cold crystal of the dragon orb and spoke the ancient words. Ast Balak Mois Paralen Sa Aklar Tan Tan Gus. So that's really interesting whenever they do this because of using the language of Adam. Carrying, measuring, and a gifting, and then just, it's really interesting now. Found the tan, and then locking in, separating yourself. Measuring what's incoming. You can do whatever you want. That's what that last part. But it's reminding this after working with the letter L before that. So it's saying, so it's like, why would you want to when you're going to be working with him? The chill of the orb began to spread through his fingers, causing his very bones to ache. Gritting his teeth, Raceland repeated the words. Ast Balak Muy Paralan Sa Aklar Tan Tan Gusar. The swirling colors within the orb ceased their lazy meandering, and began to spin madly. Raceland stared within the dazzling vortex, fighting the dizziness that assailed him, keeping his hands placed firmly upon the orb. Slowly he whispered the words again. The colors ceased to swirl, and a light glowed in the center. Raceland blinked, then frowned. The light should have been neither black nor white. It should be neither back or right. All colors yet none, symbolizing the mixture of good and evil and neutrality that bound the essence of the dragons within the orb. Let's see. Now this pop-up just came up. It says, weirdest dream you remember. Let's answer that. Weirdest dream I remember. Weirdest dream I remember. Weirdest dream I remember. Weirdest dream I remember. That's a hard question. That's a hard question. Weirdest dream I remember. Oh, okay. How about this? I was lucid dreaming. I knew that I was dreaming. I woke up in the dream knowing that I was dreaming. So I tried to challenge myself by creating my surroundings as fast as possible, because I thought that I didn't understand dreams and how they worked back then. And I used to think that it was like part of the subconscious mind and stuff, like what we were taught to believe. It's not true. These are actual places. But I was running through these buildings and stuff as fast as possible, looking at all this new stuff to just challenge how it was possible, to try to test the limits and see, like, because I was thinking, there's no way my brain can create this. There's no way it's possible for my brain to create all of this. And so I kept going faster and faster, because I knew it wasn't possible for me to imagine something like that. It wasn't like it had to be there. And so I was looking at people's artwork, and I picked up a book, and I knew that I wasn't supposed to be able to read a book because I was in a dream. And somebody had once told me that in a dream you can't read. And so I proved that it was wrong. I picked up the book and I read it. And I was looking at the words and I was reading, and I was like, wow, this is just like a real book. And it's just like reading. What they said was wrong. And then I thought, I need a bigger challenge. What's a bigger challenge? So I thought, I know. I need a courtyard full of people. People I've never seen before. Because there's no way I could ever imagine that. I can't even draw one person that's a stranger, I could try, but it's always going to be like from somebody else, and then I'm like horrible at it. But to think of like a whole courtyard full of people, my brain's not going to be able to do that. So a courtyard appeared, and then I went to this courtyard, and I went to people as fast as I could, looking at their faces. And I was just going around looking at their faces as fast as possible, trying to test the limit and see how many faces I could look at. Try to look at 20 of them in under a second or something. I'm just like knowing there's no way anybody's brain is that intelligent enough to just imagine something like that. That comes from imagination. Like it had to be out there somewhere. So I was doing this. That bird said something about danger. Danger. Can you hear me? It's really cute. That's Pinchy, by the way. That's a Pinchy bird. There's a finch. There's a Finchy over there too. Finchy is the male. So they have this way of squeaking. Pinchy birds. They have a way of going. It's really cute. If you did something like have eggs or something, they'll do it more often. But they're like this kind of squeak thing. They get like upset. He's not doing it now though. They're cute. But the females have a deeper voice, and the males have a cuter voice. But you can tell that they're males, and you can tell that the females are females. Anyways, they're really cute. So what was I saying? Oh yeah, in this dream, it was so weird. So I was looking at all these people, and then suddenly there was somebody standing in the courtyard, and this voice was in my head that said, "This is what you look like right now." And then I looked over at him, and the people kind of parted so I could see him, and he was standing there. He looked like some weird Star Wars character or something, like an alien. And he had 3 large eyes on his head. 3 large eyes. And then the rest of his body was full of small eyes. It was very, very wow. And he said, "This is what you look like right now." But that was a very weird dream. Have you seen that Star Wars creature that has 3 eyes? He kind of looked like that. Anyways, so there's the dream. That's the weirdest dream I had. How do I get rid of this thing? Here, like that. Okay, there it is. Where are we? So, by the light he saw now, though much the same as he had seen before, some ringed round by dark shadows. Wait, let me go back. I gotta make sure I read this. Light should have been neither black nor white, all colors yet none, symbolizing the mixture of good and evil and neutrality that bound the essence of the dragons within the orb. Such it had always been ever since the first time he had looked within the orb and fought for its control. Yet the light he saw now, that's true. People, everybody I knew, I tried to get him to stay away from it. And so did the person that showed me. person was like, so it seemed like it was always the same. Like people would be like threatening them or something. If you don't show me, I'm gonna find out somewhere else. Really dumb. Anyway, so I was like 20 years ago. I was stupid. He stared at it closely, blah, 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 blah. But the light he saw now, though much the same as he had seen before, seemed ringed round by dark shadows. He stared at it closely, coldly banishing any fanciful flights of imagination. His frown deepened. There were shadows hovering about the edges, shadows of weeds. Did you hear those birds? They're being nice right now. Nice people. Out of the light came two hands. Raceland caught hold of them and gasped. The hands pulled him in with such strength that I didn't take all my medication today. I was thinking about taking it. The hands pulled him with such strength that, totally unprepared, Raceland nearly lost control. It was only when he felt himself being drawn into the orb by the hands within the shadowy light that he exerted his own force of will and yanked his hands back toward him. What is the meaning of this? Raceland demanded sternly. Why do you challenge me? Long ago, I became your master. Well, I was driving, so I don't like to do my full dose until, I finish with the day or whatever. So like do half of it just so that the sickness or whatever goes away, and then I'll do the rest when I'm done driving. What is the meaning of this? Raceland demanded sternly. Why do you challenge me? Long ago, I became your master. She calls. She calls and we must obey. Really? Who calls? Who is more important than I? Raceland asked with a sneer, though his blood suddenly ran colder than the touch of the orb. Ouch. I felt like it was saying, nobody's there because of running, because he ran colder. So true. With a sneer. Because he knows that direction is lonely. Our queen, we hear her voice moving in our dreams, disturbing our sleep. Come, master, we will take you. Come quickly. I've been thinking about it tonight more than usual. I was checking out someone, and then someone else, and then someone else. So, I don't know. I know this person likes me. Okay, ask her. But then it's like I get reminded. It's so weird. I keep getting reminded. Come across these names, dogwood, and all that sort of stuff. And then, like, the stuff on our car was like, it seemed to mean, if you go with me, you'd be cutting off that kid that you met. Anyways, Um, I wish I could explain what it was, but I don't feel like it's a good idea. Um, the queen, Raceland shuddered involuntarily, unable to stop himself. The hands, sensing him weakening, began to draw him in once more. Totally. That is honestly what's going on right now. Because it's been so long. I'm just thinking, my God, all I have to do is just go to somebody. I want to take a bath right now. I washed up today, but I want to take a bath. It's easier, a lot easier to get help. Give something. Angrily, Raceland tightened his grip on them and paused to try to sort his thoughts that swirled as madly as the colors within the orb. The queen, of course. He should have foreseen this. He had entered the world partially, and now she moved among the evil dragons. Banished, I've been worried about that girl because I saw her friend looked kind of wild compared to her. I was like, she better be a good influence. Banished from Kryn long ago by the sacrifice of the Solamnic night, Huma. The dragons. So that's reminding me of hooking somebody else up with a man. The dragons, both good and evil, slept in deep and secret places. So Huma would be Silvara's lover. Slept in deep and secret places. Leaving the good dragons to sleep on undisturbed. The Dark Queen Takusis, the five-headed dragon, was awaking the evil dragons, rallying them to her cause as she fought to gain control of the world. The dragon orb, though, composed of the essences of all dragons, good, evil, and neutral, would of course react strongly to the Queen's commands, especially as, for the present, its evil side was predominant, enhanced by the nature of its master. Are those shadows I see the wings of dragons, or shadows of my own soul? Raceland wondered, staring at the orb, into the orb. That does mean faithful. It is asking, are you faithful? Because wings go to the air. That's weird. How do those people know to say that? And then he did not have leisure for reflection. However, all of these thoughts flitted through his mind so rapidly that between the drawing of one breath and the releasing of it, I thought about all that today. The Archmage saw his grave danger. Let him lose control for an instant, and Tacitus would claim him. I thought about that today too. No, my queen, he murmured, keeping a tight grip upon the hands within the orb. So that means controlling himself, not giving in to his temptations. No, it will not be so easy as this. To the orb he spoke softly but firmly. I am your master still. I am the one who rescued you from Sylvanesti and Lorak, the mad elven king. So the orb talks? So Sylvanesti is the south? Who would Lorak, the mad king, be? I was the one who carried you safely from the blood sea of Istar. I am Ray. He hesitated, swallowed the suddenly bitter taste in his mouth, then said through clenched teeth, I am Phisidonalis, master of past and of present, and I command you to obey me. Okay, so what was he saying there? So he was saying, he was talking to an orb, dragon orb. And I guess it sees how to take people, what they want. It sees what they want. I'm the one who rescued the orb from Sylvanesti and Lorak, the elven mad king. I'm the one who carried you. So that means, how did I do that? Made people less addictive or something? Addicted. I was the one who carried you safely from the blood sea of Istar. I am raised. And then he changed it and it turned into I am Phisidonalis, master of past and of present, and I command you to obey me. What would the orb be, though? Oh, he's talking to the queen. The orb's light dimmed. Raceland felt the hands holding his own tremble and start to slip away. I've been doing that lately. I've been, while just documenting things and just making videos, I've been seeing an old woman's hands. It makes me really, really want her. Tremble and start to slip away. Anger and fear shot through him, but he suppressed these emotions instantly and kept his clasp firmly upon his hands. Because it would mean the other. Because if he went to the queen, or Taylor, or Tacitus, then the other one would let go more. but I've been wanting that a woman to think about me. I like it when she comes to me. Anger and fear shot through him, but he suppressed these emotions instantly. Fear, more. And kept his clasp firmly upon his hands, upon the hands. The trembling ceased, the hands relaxed. Comfortable to make that like that. We obey, master. Raceland dared not breathe a sigh of relief. Very well, he said, keeping his voice stern, a parent speaking to a chastened child. But what a dangerous child, he thought. What a dangerous child. So while reading this, I felt that somebody was watching it, but this video, it was different. It's a different feeling I get from her than the other times I'm sharing. It's a setting of more like watching something with the child. Coldly he continued, I must contact my apprentice in the Tower of High Sorcery in Palanthas. That's definitely what I should do. I want him to figure out who it is, though. Who he is. I don't want to tell him that he's this character in this book. I want him to figure it out. Because it's really funny. Heed my command. Carry my voice through the ethers of time. Bring my words to Delamar. Speak the words, master. He shall hear them as he hears the beating of his own heart, and so shall you hear his response. Bracelet nodded. I guess it would represent a lot of people, honestly. That's pretty fun to think about, how people would trip about this. It's been pretty cool to be able to pick up a comic, just any comic, and just use edition on it, and just go, how does this have to do with what's going on right now? It's so weird. It's very cool. It's a beautiful experience every time. And then it's like, it seems like if a person, that's weird. Oh. What did Pepper say about diapers? That was cute. Okay. Well, that was interesting. You know, it's kind of scary. The idea of a psycho thinking like, why doesn't the book respond the way I want it to? How do I get it to respond the way I want it to? Isn't that scary? That's kind of scary. It's so ridiculous to think that I'd have to worry about something like that. And it's like, not bringing it up makes it I just don't see anybody really being inspired to do something evil because of something I'm doing. Those people would have been messed up anyways. Seems like people would be a lot less likely to do. It seems like they would be more concerned about being respectful than they would have been before, that the opposite effect would happen, especially if they were illegal. They would potentially be more legal. But somebody wanting to be above the law or wanting to take control of the law, of course, is never going to agree with that. It's going to go, you shouldn't have that right. Perhaps, right? I don't know. Because they want to be plotting, because they have been plotting secretly somewhere, I don't know. And they don't bring their problem to the public like they should. You know? Because if it's something that the public was aware of, they'd be able to find people that do that. How hard could it be? But I mean, you can kind of see in history where people have done psychotic stuff like that. It is really rare. Like a man coming up with his own language or something. Probably went off on some similar trip. But the more people thought about it, the more they'd be able to figure out more of what happened. Maybe catch someone, or I don't know. But I mean, that does seem kind of spooky though, you know? I think somebody might go. I mean, as an author myself, I'm not worried about it, you know? That's totally psychotic. I'm not really thinking somebody's gonna come across my books and go, you know, show me where what's the combination of your vault? If you don't give it to me, I'm gonna get you. And then just, you know, use the book or whatever. I mean, how would it be any different from anything that they're gonna do anyways? If you know something I don't know, let me know. As far as I can tell, I was going, wow, what a weird coincidence, isn't that funny? Oh, check this out. That is so cool. How is that possible? I wasn't really expecting that. Or I'd be like, you know, I bet you this is actually possible. If I were to, you know, let's try to convince myself that this is real right here and see if it actually works. And then go, wow, what the hell? Is that real? That actually happened? It would happen if I get to my destination and just give somebody a beautiful experience. So what's the difference? And that's pretty much all that truly matters. But I mean, it's pretty weird to think about. When I've done it, when I've tried to ask people, they seem to let me know that they can ignore it if they don't like it, but they do ignore it when they don't like it. And I'm also just interested in love. It's like, but I mean, it'd be really stupid to take it seriously, you know? Like, a funny coincidence is a funny coincidence. But it's got to be off somewhere. It's got to be wrong somewhere. I mean, to think of like, if there's billions of people in the world, and they're all doing it to one book, let's say, you know, and they're all like trying to ask an author a question. So it's like, wow, he's hearing voices and he's putting his head in a hat or something. Just kidding. I mean, that's weird to think about. What the hell? So, the ones that reached him, I guess it probably is similar to how dreams work, to where it's like trying to give us the longest lifespan, you know? So it's like the message that will go through is the one that gives us the longest lifespan, healthy lifespan, for the colonies living inside of us, because we're hosts. That's kind of weird to think about, because I mean it can't be real. But I mean, I think people know not to take it seriously if it doesn't like line up in some way. But I know that because of what I'm doing and what I'm working on, because I know the person wants my attention and wants me to share what they did. And so they'll go, I'll do this for you, because I'm trying to help people. So it seems more likely to do it. So let's just see there. I don't really know. Let's see. Let's ask Margaret Ways. Margaret Ways, do you have any children? See, I already know, as an author or whatever, they're not going to be able to like pry my mind. They're not going to be able to. I'm not going to share something I don't want to share. I'll just put my finger in a random spot in the book. Yeah. Sorry, I was gonna have to get one. And then let's look at what it says. Through the air. Bows through the air. Hoping to. Through the air. Hoping to. What did I ask? Does she have any children? Through the air. Through my husband, I'm hoping to. That's funny, see? How could that be wrong there? See, it's a simple addition. What about the air element being the husband or the spouse? That makes sense. I mean, it can't work for everybody. It's not gonna... That's really weird, though. That's pretty magical. It does keep doing that to me. Every time I do it, it seems like it's so perfect. How the hell they do that? And then I wonder, maybe it's because the last time that I slept, maybe I'm just really, really smart and I'm not really knowing. Well, it's like I'm taking a current, you know what I mean? And I'm allowing myself to go where I know it's going to work. If that makes sense. Like it wasn't just the author. It was me too. And we already had a dream about it. So I kind of knew what to say. That might be more real. And since that is real, it's probably something I wouldn't really have to worry about, or anybody, when it comes to like the voodoo, scary, whatever people worry about. Because I mean, that is a good question. Like, did somebody steal somebody's combination to a password? No. I mean, it's like, seems it's probably the same chance of just, trying to remember a dream and then just writing it down on paper. It's probably the same, similar kind of thing. I mean, how is it going to help the person if you have their combination? How is it going to save what lives in our insides? How is it going to give us a longer lifespan? How is it going to give us a better experience? If it's something that's malicious or bad, it probably doesn't work. That is pretty weird, though. Could you get this person's thing? That's pretty messed up. What if somebody actually learned how to do that? And was like, do this to you if you don't do this to me. That's actually true. Since I just did what I did, well, that's scary. Maybe I should just take everything down. Or find out something. Ouch, how could I find that out? Don't do it to me. What the hell? Let's ask. Tracy Hickman. Dear Guy, what do you think? They could not hear him. Raise his voice, spidery language. They could not hear him. That's what I was thinking. That's what I suspect. Well, I keep connecting to them, and we want to be able to share it. It's really magical. I want the readers of my book to do that, to trip out and go, wow, that's so cool. You know what I mean? If it doesn't align somewhere for them, I'll just go, sorry. Maybe you just needed more sleep last night. Maybe you didn't set your alarm early enough and hit snooze enough times. I don't know what to tell you. But I want to be able to do that for people. What I've already made, I've already been figuring out who I made it for. I don't want to tell them. I want them to figure it out. But it is really cool. But I'm not like hoping for somebody to, I'm not writing a romance novel. Hoping for somebody to surprise me while I'm married with children with somebody else. But that would be fun to do to each other, Or I was thinking of calling it the letter Q. Or no, the letter E. The letter E. And doing like a book club where people are doing it to each other. Like authors doing it to other authors that are dating each other or something. Because that'd be a romantic experience. The letter E. So I made this so the birds can enjoy it more. I do a lot of I'm doing a lot of talking to the audience instead of just reading the story. But it is a really good story. Of course, it's going to be a different experience just reading the book, how it was intended to be read, and that's a really cool thing. But yeah, if you are in a park or something, the birds were very happy. They were really thankful because somebody puked in this, and that's so I cleaned it out. Somebody puked in it. Cleaned it out. This side was really nasty too. And so when this sits, when it's sat all night or something, tomorrow it's going to be delicious. They're going to love it. So they're going, stay here, stay here. And they're all talking, get her to move here. Because they're like, because one of them will be like, hey, look, there's a girl. Go stay with her. And then another one will be like, but there's this other girl. Because they seem to know. It's so funny. They're like, so get her to move here. How do they do that? Okay. Maybe it's because, just like the book, we met the last time we slept. And the birds and stuff just kind of knew what to do. So that they just instinctually needed to have the water cleaned. And wanted people to do that often. When they go to the park, just think about the birds for a moment. And so they knew how to say all that, do all that. That's kind of part of it, you know? Anyways, that was beautiful. Anything? Well, ta-da! Somebody, I heard her a voice in my head earlier say, what did she say? It was funny. I was laughing. She said, what did she say? She said, show me you're real. Show me you're real. What she meant was the most embarrassing spot in my body. And then she kissed it and said, I like it. It was very, very realistic.